Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I am a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I'm here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will uplift, inspire, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Or find me on X at Dr. Lynnda Nadien. Did you know Leo the Lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College? Lions are ruled by Leo and fire. The male lions represent pride, while the female lions stand for teamwork. Together, we are Lion Tales. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Joanne Sorgie, class of 1984. Joanne is a proud alum of Nassau Community College and serves as a kindergarten teacher in the Uniondale Public Schools for the past 25 years. Joanne is an artist and began her career at Nassau Community College as an art major. She recalls the days of Nassau working on her art and working at Fortunoff and Garden City as she pursued her degree. She earned an associate's degree at Nassau Community College and moved on to Hofstra for her education and fine arts degree. She is the mother of 3 and a valued member of the California Avenue School faculty. She loves arts and crafting, teaching, and is a valued member of the Uniondale Public School District as an art educator as well as an elementary school teacher. Welcome to Lion Tales, Joanne Sorgie, class of 1984.
Hello, Linda. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing? I'm so happy you could do the show.
Good. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us about your decision way back when to attend Nassau Community College. What was it like in 84?
In 84, I have to tell you, I went through a couple of colleges.
Okay.
I attended C.W. Post, Hofstra, and Malloy College, and I got my best education at Nassau Community College.
Yay!
They are the most caring professors. They were there to help you. They were there to guide you. Whatever you needed, they were there for you.
Yeah. What did you, so how did you end up at Nassau? You tried some of the 4-year schools, and then how did you end up here? And it was 1984 that you ended up here, or you graduated? It was probably earlier, right? Like 81, 82?
I graduated high school in 81, and then I went to C.W. Post thinking I could be a computer major.
Okay. Only
Only to find out my brain doesn't think that way.
Right. Yeah, they always try to put the artists in with the computers, and it just doesn't happen.
No, definitely not.
So then from Post, you were at Hofstra. Yeah.
From Post, I went to Nassau.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
And decided that I really loved art. I really wanted to be an art teacher.
Yeah.
Or an art therapist. I love kids, love to work with kids. And in order to be an art teacher, I found out after Nassau, I graduated from Nassau with my art degree.
Yes.
I learned at Hofstra that I needed a dual degree, one in education and one in art, if I wanted to be an art teacher.
Mm.
So I pursued it. I decided I loved elementary ed, and that was where I really could see myself enjoying myself. And I graduated with elementary ed and fine arts.
And so initially being on the campus, in the early 80s, even, prior to graduation, what was that like? And also you were working at Fortunoff, which was one of the big retail stores in Garden City, like right next to the campus. So how did you manage the work and the college courses?
I worked 3 nights a week, Saturdays and Sunday, because Fortunoff paid double time on Sundays.
Wow, yeah.
And took my studies in between classes.
Yeah, and what were some of the courses you were taking at the beginning?
I took a lot of art classes. I think you had to take the core classes. You had to take an English, a math, probably a science, and a social studies. I remember I had to take sex ed because I wasn't over 25.
Oh. Was that called human sexuality?
That was it. Thank you for remembering.
Yeah. Did you have Dr. Hiddleman? Do you remember that? Does that sound familiar?
An older gentleman?
Yeah.
I sure did.
Yeah, I had that too. Dr. Hiddleman.
You had?
Yeah.
He was amazing. He was great.
He was outstanding. And he taught us a lot of things because I think we were very, I guess, innocent and, unassuming, not knowing so many things that are part of human sexuality, which we just did not know at the time.
No.
But that was, I think,
fun.
You had to take that, but everybody was very afraid about that course because they heard about it. I think people were a little bit intimidated.
It was great. It was good. I talked about everything and anything, and you learned so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Just certainly stuff your parents didn't want to teach you.
Definitely not. Now, he was one of those professors that was very inspiring because there was like a whole realistic element of what he was teaching. And, how did you feel about interacting with him as a professor?
I just loved it. Found myself asking questions, and I'm usually on the shy side. So, he made you feel comfortable.
Definitely. Now, so on the campus in, the early 80s, what was that like?
I remember seeing the Ramones.
Oh, the
Ramones performed at Nassau Community way back when. You know what? I have to say I didn't have an incredible campus life.
Right.
Because I was working.
Yeah.
And work took away from that. But I loved being there. The people were so nice. I made lots of friends, and we all kind of worked together. It was a group effort.
Yeah, and then
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, how long were you interested in studying art? I mean, when you were in high school, were you thinking that you wanted to do art, and you just were led in a different direction?
Let's just say I always loved art, and I always loved to be crafty. I did try chorus in 7th or 8th grade. They asked me to take up something different because I can't sing to save my life.
Uh-huh.
so they asked me to try art. And I did, and I loved it.
Yeah. And then you earned the arts and education degree as well. And so coming out, now, why did you not pursue art teacher at that time? Why did you do elementary ed, or how did that happen that you went back?
I could have, but I have to tell you there was like one art position in every building.
Right.
At the time. And the chances of me getting an art position versus a classroom position, the chances were much higher in a classroom. So I ended up going in that way.
Yeah. Now, leaving Nassau and then going to a 4-year school, especially Hofstra, because, I also did the same thing, leaving Hofstra and then going to the 4-year.
Right.
What was the difference between the community college and then going over to Hofstra?
Well, Hofstra, again, I was a commuter, so I didn't have a fabulous campus life. You felt just more of a community at Nassau.
Yeah.
That I didn't have the same feeling at Hofstra.
Right. Yeah, it was very true. I mean, Nassau gives you some type of, there's an insulation about coming onto the campus, and you feel that there's a connection. And even if you are commuting and you can't spend a lot of time on campus, I always felt kind of like I belonged here. How did you feel at that time?
Oh, absolutely. I was where I wanted to be, exactly where I wanted to be.
Yeah. Now, deciding to become an educator, what were you thinking, upon graduation from Nassau and then getting ready to go again across the street to Hofstra? Did you know that you wanted to be a teacher?
I kind of did, whether it was teaching art or teaching in the classroom. I just love being with kids.
Yeah.
I thrive on it. I love it. And they're little sponges that just suck up everything. They really are.
Yeah.
And, when you make the connections with the kid, it's just amazing.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Joanne Sorgie, class of 1984. So thinking about this now, here you are, a kindergarten teacher, and you also work for the Department of Education in New York City at the very beginning. So how did you go from Nassau to Hofstra, then you're a graduate, and now suddenly you're working in East New York? Can you tell us about those experiences way back when?
As soon as I graduated, I had difficulty, of course, finding a position because, they were hard to come by.
Yeah.
So I worked in Garden City as a permanent sub for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I said, this is lovely, but I want my own. You want your own class.
Yeah.
So I said, let me go to the closest district. I looked on a map. I lived in Valley Stream at the time, and East New York was pretty close.
Yeah.
Really not knowing what I was getting myself into. And I spent 10 years there and absolutely loved it.
Wow. Yeah. And, really, and the training, what type of training was, provided to you in that capacity there?
The city, I have to say, at the time that I was there, it was not as regulated as it is now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was kind of, here are your books, do your job, keep your class in order.
Yeah. And what grade did you have there? What grade was in East New York?
I taught in the city. I taught 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade.
Wow. So that's the bigger kids, too.
Yes. I was terrified of the big kids.
Yeah. And so what was your approach then to, working with the older group? Because now you do have kindergarten, but what do you think you bring with you when you work with some of the older children?
You definitely have to draw the fine line between friend and educator.
Yeah.
There is definitely, because they will, the kids will tend to take full advantage if they think we're buddies.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you must draw the fine line, but, you laugh with them, you keep them happy, and most of the time they're good kids.
Absolutely.
They really are.
And now working at California Avenue School for many, many years, which is really an award-winning school in the Uniondale Public Schools. What is your approach to teaching kindergarten students? And now it's, again, post-pandemic, and we're almost, these 2 decades into the millennium. What are these little ones coming in with, and what are they like? And what are you trying to do to make sure that you keep them moving forward?
Little kids, they're just so innocent and adorable. And, before we start class, we have to go through the Band-Aids. Who needs a Band-Aid? Because some of them can't function without their Band-Aid.
Uh-huh.
So we do that, and then you eye the group, see if anybody's not in a good mood, and you try and find out why. They need a lot of coddling.
Yeah.
All their needs have to be met before they're ready to take in whatever you're offering for the day. So it's a lot of making sure that they're okay.
And what do the routines look like now, post-pandemic, and also, again, using a new series and for reading and math? How did you get prepared for all that?
We start the day, and thanks to the pandemic, I learned how to make Google Slides.
Okay, great, yeah.
And we have our morning meeting, which is all song and dance, and they sing the days of the week, the months of the year, they count to 20, they do shapes, and every month I change it up and I'll add stuff. So as the year progresses, they're continually learning stuff through music and dance, and, it's incredible because they take it all in. And, the months of the year, they'll sing you the song.
Yeah. And how are they dealing with integrating the subject areas? Like when you're having reading, math, social studies, and science, like what types of activities are you preparing for them?
Usually it's a lot of center work.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're asked to be doing right now is teach a mini lesson, kind of, the whole class mini lesson. And then we break down into groups. And this way you can get to the individual student. And based on their needs, you program yourself accordingly.
And
a lot of centers, a lot of fun things for them to do.
And, remember in the past, we would always be working on the kindergarten profiles and the assessment of the students. How has that changed, or is it similar? What types of assessments are being used?
We still do
now?
the profile. In the beginning of the year, we make sure that we check to see that they know uppercase letters, lowercase letters, the sounds, any sight words they might know. Do they know where to start a sentence on a page? Do they know to go to the left to start reading? Can they distinguish between letters and numbers? That's all in the profile. And then based on that, you kind of form your groups till you see what their individual needs really are.
Yeah. And then what about the second language learners? I know we have a lot. California Avenue has bilingual program or bilingual classes. But when you have an L in your class, are you getting some type of professional development to help make sure that their program is kind of well-rounded?
Well, we have the ELL teachers. Go ahead, help me with my... Yeah. They'll come in and they'll take the student out. And I will always pair them up with someone, as long as it's Spanish, someone that speaks the same language so they can help them out. And I find that it's incredible. The kids that come in that know no English will do really well as long as, they have their friend there to guide them. It's great if you have a TA that's bilingual, but not always.
Yeah.
So to have them have someone they can always count on is a great way to integrate them.
Yeah. And so what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in terms of, I guess, teaching the curriculum, on a daily, Monday through Friday, and then making sure that you see that progress? How are you monitoring that?
Well, we assess it as we go along. When we have our mini group, we take notes. And we compare the notes as we go, and hopefully we see the progress from them. There are iReady, which is a computer test. So they test them at the beginning of the year, and then it's computer tested again at the end of the year. And you usually see a lovely progression. We use reading A to Z. There's a lot of different ways to monitor them, and really, the best way for me is one-on-one with them and having them read. And sight word, we give sight word tests every 2 or 3 weeks. There's 8 words at a time. And those that study those sight words, they're the first ones to read. So
right. And it's, a lot of that's so much about really memorization because you can't really sound out those words. And I noticed that, just going back to like the basics in literacy, a lot of districts are buying like phonics programs and trying to kind of go back and give that foundation. Do you find that the foundation's working, or do you think that they need a little more flexibility with learning letters and sounds?
I honestly think that the foundation is working.
Yeah. We
do Wilson and Foundations, and now this year we've added Hegarty.
Okay, yeah.
To it.
And what does that look like for the kids?
It's 8 to 9 minutes, and it's just phonics. It's just words. It's blending words. It's compound words. It's rhyming. It's doing a compound word and taking away one word. What's the word that's left? It's counting how many words are in a sentence. It's a lot, and they're a little confused in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not focused on a letter or a sound. So till they really learn their letters and they can put stuff together, but it's teaching them a lot. It really is.
And what type of training did you have for that?
We had a workshop one day.
Yeah.
We had with Milliburn, Miss Janeo.
Yes.
That was our training, so we're taking it from there.
Wow. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Joanne Sorgie, class of 1984. So let's get back to some of the art, integrating the special areas, especially art and literacy. Definitely, we know, because we've seen it probably, promoting that love of reading. What are some of the projects that you've worked on that really integrate art and literacy, especially for the very young learner?
Well, if we do a book, for example, we just read, at the beginning of the year, we read No David.
Uh-huh.
So we made a picture of David. They put it together, they cut it out, put it together, and we wrote a list of new rules to teach David. So they gave me their ideas of what kinds of things we could teach David that he doesn't know how to do yet.
Uh-huh.
So, and it was a bulletin board. It came out adorable.
Yeah.
What else? I love, here's me again, I love craft.
Yeah.
So any, book that I read with them, I will find something to do. Whether it's sequencing or the main idea, we work on the main idea sometimes. Whatever I can do to get them working and crafting, and a lot of talking while they're crafting. We'll talk about the story, and, how did the story start? How was the character at the beginning? And what happened that the character changed at the end? And why they're crafting. They love to talk about it.
Yeah. Did you have to modify any of your own strategies for when the kindergarten's working in the small groups? Do you find that they get with it in terms of group work right away, or you have to model it a lot? Or
yes, we must model.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's much easier. Yes.
And I think just that, we think about the fact that a 5-year-old, they've only been really on Earth for 60 months. And then the next thing we know, they're in the middle of this classroom setting. And for a lot of them, it is difficult for them to assimilate because they're very egocentric. So they're not thinking about, they don't know how to work in a group. They just want to be on their own.
That's it. Two at a time. We start slow, then we can build up to bigger groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
But especially with the pandemic, they were home and they didn't have play dates, and, throwing them all together takes time because you're right. They each have their own way of doing things, their own need, and they have to function as a group.
Yeah. Now, during the pandemic, they were babies. So now,
yes.
I wonder if, maybe for the babies, the parenting style might have been a little bit different because I guess parents were, worried about developmental, and maybe they didn't have a 3-year-old program or they didn't go to a nursery school. Do you find that the kids that had nursery and then are in kindergarten are actually doing well, or do you find that it might not make that much of a difference?
I have to tell you, this is probably the first year I really noticed from those that went to pre-K to kindergarten.
Yeah.
They know all their letters.
Okay, that's great.
And many come in and do not. But this year in particular, they know. They're good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good to hear. Now, what are your thoughts related to equity and inclusion as far as, the area of teaching? Because now the state's talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and dealing with students that might be needing more. What do you think? What else can we do? And
I have taught inclusion.
Yeah,
I did it for 2 years, and our description, my co-teacher and I, was that everybody gets what he or she needs.
Yeah,
you may need a little more today, but maybe you don't need more tomorrow.
Right.
So we'll work on you today, and maybe tomorrow you're good. So maybe we're going to focus on someone else. And it was a lot of teaching them that everyone will be treated fairly and equally. It's just sometimes someone might get a little more help than you.
Yeah, very important, I think, to think that as well. And because as far as like the equity is concerned, I mean, any child that is classified special ed, they do have really a multitude of resources where the gen ed kid might not have those. And so then the issue for teachers is probably how do you keep the balance in the room to make sure that you can give a part of yourself to every single child that comes through.
What can I... Oh, I'm sorry. Smaller class sizes has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And oh my goodness, last year I had 14, and I had them each read to me almost every day.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because
a small little, book on their level, and they would read to me every day.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah, because I noticed that if we don't have the time to give to the student in that capacity where I remember getting trained with, I think it was like sensitivity training, where you have the opportunity to kind of like walk around the room and maybe like put your hand on the kid's shoulder or stand in proximity to them so that they could kind of feel your presence there, even if you didn't get a chance to like totally read with them every day, which I always thought that kind of like made sense for kids so that they knew that you were kind of had their back, even though you might not be able to be one-on-one with them every day.
Right.
And so some of the things that are happening right now, I guess, are more sensible for kids in the small groups that you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some could function much better in a small group than in a large.
And then what do you do when you see some of the kids that just really are having difficulty? What type of interventions are you using?
You usually try and get them one-to-one.
Yeah.
I have a teacher assistant. She's phenomenal.
That's great.
And either she or I will get to them and do one-to-one.
Yeah. Now, what advice would you give to the incoming freshmen who may be considering a teaching career, but they're coming to Nassau for the first time? What would you say to them?
I would, let me see. First of all, you're going to love Nassau. Second of all, work hard. The harder you work, the more it will pay off. And when you do your classroom experiences where you have to do hours, learn all you can, because there's so much that's not taught in a textbook.
Right.
So many things that you need to know, and that happen in a classroom that, they're just not taught.
Right.
So pay attention to everything, grab all you can.
I would like to thank our guest, Joanne Sorgie, class of 1984. And we would like to thank you for being here today, and thank you for being our guest. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien. I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I'm a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information is online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.